We discovered that one of the phone numbers that she'd been in contact with the day she disappeared was Coulter Peterson.
That was a clue because they had already talked to Coulter Peterson, and he's like, yeah, I haven't talked to her in, like, I don't know when, 6 months or something.
At one point, we received an eyewitness account that said they had seen two males walking down the road, and one of them was wearing a multicolored backpack. We were able to retrieve a doorbell camera that showed the two individuals walking past a home carrying a multicolored backpack just prior to 5 p.m. on that day.
We knew that they were taking care of the investigation. We were more concerned about Des and how she was doing.
As she's laying there in the hospital, her lung had collapsed. They were afraid they were gonna have to do a tracheotomy. I was like, oh, please, let's just hold off just a little bit. See if she'll come around.
At this point, we had no confession. We had no solid evidence that it was him. We needed this interview. He said that after school, he had left with Jason, gone to his house, played a couple video games, and then walked to Jason's house where they played video games for a couple hours. At some point, he said they went to a local convenience store and bought some drinks and snacks, and then returned to Jason's house to play some video games. The timeline didn't add up. There was a gap in the timeline that was unaccounted for, and it happened to be the same time frame that Deserae's phone had been turned off. Jason denied any involvement. He was claiming that Coulter had left the house for a brief period of time and come back and didn't know where he'd been. We continued to interview Coulter. We actually told Coulter that Deserae was dead. We saw his body language slump. We saw all the reactions that you see in a typical interview when somebody knows something and they're not disclosing it. He eventually admitted he had used the gun to the back of her head and been the one that pulled the trigger. Coulter was claiming sole responsibility. And so on that night, we actually released Jason Decker and we arrested Coulter for attempted murder. He claimed sole responsibility, which didn't make sense in our heads because he was with Jason Decker this entire time on camera.
When we found out that it was a boy that she actually really liked and wanted to spend time with, it was so sad and shocking.
We were able to obtain detailed phone records of our suspects. They had gone out of their way to make sure that their phones had been in airplane mode and that their GPS trackers were turned off. They forgot to turn off their Wi-Fi. We were able to take Wi-Fi information and triangulate their location on the canal at the time of the crime, which later helped us to place them both on the crime scene. He gave us 3 different versions of the story through the course of that interview. In the third version, he admitted to being at the canal when Coulter pulled the trigger. His story is that he feared for his life and felt that Coulter was going to kill him if he said anything. He told us that Coulter had taken her cell phone and her tablet and destroyed them and thrown them in the canal. I don't think that Deserae had ever deleted anything from her phone. When we downloaded her phone records, I recall there being more than 40,000 pages of information. Lots and lots of text messages. On the day of the incident, Deserae had been wanting to buy a pocket knife and had communicated that to Coulter, and that Coulter had a pocket knife that he wanted to sell to her. We later discovered that it was a guise to get Deserae to come to the canal. We found a conversation, what seemed to be a plan. Something had been predetermined. They were plotting something. Jason asked him if he would hurry up, and Coulter asked if everything was clear. And Jason responded, yeah, it's clear.
I believe it was Jason texted Coulter the signal to shoot her.
We started to discover that Coulter was really impressionable, but Jason was also a little bit of a manipulator.